Welcome to our business law vicarious liability. When an employer responds for an employee's action, one mistake, one responsibility, understanding vicarious liability. So welcome to our introduction about the business environment. In every business, employees play an important role in helping their company run smoothly. They perform daily tasks, provide service, customers, and represent the company. So, however, the problem, mistake can happen when employees are doing their work. Sometimes employees' careless actions may cause injury, damage, and loss to another person. So, the legal question is who should be responsible? When this happens, should only the employee should be a responsibility or the employer should be the responsibility? These situations explain to the legal principle called vicarious liability. So the definition of the vicarious liability. Vicarious liability means an employer can be responsible for a wrongful action or make mistakes an employee while doing their job. In simple words, if an employee cause harm to someone while carrying out their duty, the employee will also need to take a responsibility even though the employee did not directly cause the problem. This is because employee heal the employee, give instructions, and controls the employee work. However, the employee is not a responsibility for every employee. The employee must doing good work relevant duties when these mistakes happen.
Now let's discuss why employees are responsible for their employees' action. Employees have the authority to hire, train, supervise, and control the employer. Since the employee benefits from the work employee performance, the law may hold them responsible when an employee causes harm while carrying out work-related duties. The principle also encourages employers to provide training, maintain a safe working environment, and serve employee effectively. It helps to protect the victim by ensuring they can receive fair and compensation, especially because the employee usually have the greater financial resource than the individual employees. However, the employees are generally not liable if an employee commits a wrongful act for personal reasons that are completely unrelated to the job. Next, let's look at the element of the vicarious of liability. There are 4 key elements that are must establish. First, they must have the employer-employee relationship, meaning the person who caused the harm and employee of the employer. Second, employer must have committed a wrongful act such as liable or another legal of wrongdoing. Third, the wrongful act must have occurred during the observed employment, which means the employee was performing work-related duties or acting within the scope of the job. Whenever the 4 elements are satisfied, the employee may be held legally responsible for the employee action under the principle of the vicarious of the liability.
Vicarious liability. Case AB Search. AB Search case. This is the case of a young boy who was injured at a restaurant Cheng Ho to a waiter's negligence. Restaurant Cheng Ho was owned by a Malaysian singer called AB Search. In this case, a young boy who was dining with his family at the Cheng Ho restaurant. While serving the family, a waiter accidentally spilled a hot soup on the boy while trying to balance a tray. As a result, the boy suffered a serious burn injuries and required medical treatment. The boy's father later filed a negligence claim against the restaurant owner. The court decided that the employer was responsible for the waiter's negligence under the principle of vicarious liability. This was because the waiter was an employee and the accident happened while he was carrying out his normal work duty, which was serving food to the customer. The court ordered the defendant to pay Rm 8,000 in general damages, Rm 10,000 in special damages for medical and surgery expenses, together with the interest and legal costs. This case shows that an employer may be held liable when an employee commits a negligence act during the course of employment, even though the employer did not personally cause the injury. In conclusion, vicarious liability means that an employer may be held responsible for wrongful act committed by an employee during the course of employment. For this principle to apply, there must be an employer-employee relationship and employees' act must be connected to their work duty. The Amy Search restaurant case clearly demonstrates this principle because the waiter caused the injury while serving customers. Therefore, the employer was required to compensate the victim. Overall, vicarious liability protects victims, encourages employer to properly supervise their employees, and ensure that responsibility is placed on the party that is in better position to provide compensation.